Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. So today we are tackling a little trailer here. As I may have mentioned in the drag week, trailers of drag week, this thing was top heavy, had terrible lights on it. You can't see, almost got rear-ended before. So what I'm doing is, here's the top for it that goes on top of this. I had basically the totes down below here and some of my gear up here. And what I would do is I would set tires in the bottom and a little bit of stuff, in this tote. And then you can see I've got like my cooler here. And then on the side of the cooler is the gas can. So this thing though, going down the road, this was getting caved in here because it's pretty high up. Also, I had a lot of weight up here, so it was top heavy and it wanted to kind of teeter. In windy conditions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this and go ahead and enclose the lower portion of it. I went and tried to price out steel. So, like some 3/4 inch, I think, or 1 inch square tubing, so I could make a frame like this, but down a little lower. I want to make this about 24 inches tall. I'm going to show you in just a moment what I'm going to do to make this thing up. I've got some 1/4 inch plywood here that I'm going to use for the outside, and I actually have some aluminum that I'm going to use to attach to this so that it looks nice and clean. It's actually white aluminum that they use to do a lot of the cladding on the houses. I'll drag it from the attic here in a few minutes. But what I was going to do is I was going to price out a bunch of 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch or 1 inch square tubing and make a frame. And it was really expensive. So then I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Well, then my wife comes home and says, hey, they're throwing out a bunch of stuff at the school. You can take whatever you want. So they had a ton of desks outside that they were just going to throw in the garbage. So what I did is, look at all what I got behind me here. I got a bunch of frames, right? Square tubing, you can see, a bunch of square tubing and a bunch of the frame material. And I'll flip this around in a second and show you what it looks like. That I got for free. All I had to do was unscrew it from the desktops, and they were going to throw all the desktops in the garbage anyway. So I went ahead and took a bunch of the bottom frames. And then the other thing I did is I'll flip the camera around in a second too, but back there, I'll show you the things that were underneath the desk, that you put your books and your pencil boxes and all that other stuff in, right? Underneath the desk, I got a bunch of those because what I'm going to do, I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you in a second, but basically I'm going to make a sliding top out of one of them so then I can access stuff underneath. So let me flip the camera on. I'll do a little closer up on what I'm going to cut up and do to make a frame for this. So if you notice there is 1, 2, 3, there's 4 frames there. Here's a 5th one I have here. You can see this is like 3/4, I think this is maybe actually 1 inch. I've got some 1 1/4 on some of them too. And then if you notice, see how this is stamped like a C channel? What I can do now is I can take, I'll get rid of these pieces. I won't need these. But what I can do is if they're 24 inches, I'm going to set them in the middle here as vertical support. So I'll have, this as an end, right? I'll have this as an end. I'm going to have to cut this down to fit the trailer, all right, to be somewhere around probably 36 inches. And then what I'll do is if that's a 24 inch piece, I'll attach it in the middle here so it'll be a support in the middle for the trailer. And the same will hold true, a support in the front as well as in the back here, okay? So that way, I can use this material, which is lightweight, and then structurally, right, take it across the top and connect all these together. And then, like I said, put my vertical supports in the middle. I know it may not make sense, but as you kind of look over here at the trailer, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this about 24 inches in height so I can put storage in there. And then you can see I'll have a couple of those totes, and that's just an empty box in the middle. But what I can do is it'll give me room to stack a few maybe boxes on top with some additional supplies. And then what you see there, right, is I'm going to have one of these on there. The stuff that I maybe use the most often, I can slide forward and rearward up there. So that way then I can slide it, you know, forward to get to this stuff, or slide that back this way and get to the stuff in the front of the trailer. All right, guys, so you can see I've got structure unbolted, set off to the side, and I've started to mock this up a little bit. You know, I cut one of them up so you can see, you know, just how it's gonna sit, right? You know, this is gonna, I need to cut it obviously down there. I need to cut that piece off, right? Weld this leg onto that piece, cut another piece of that from over in that pile to go across there. But you can see here's this post, and then, you know, I need to trim that piece down and then run a longer piece there. But the nice thing is those I think were 25 or 27 inches. And so I'll be able to use those as a post here, so I'm not wasting metal. You know, this down here, I'm not sure about. That's probably just going to be scrap. You know, and down there, that'll be scrap. But I'll be able to use these 4 pieces as my posts for the corners. And then I'll be able to take this, run it across the top, run it across, you know, the back, across the top here, across the front, and along the top, you know, and square this whole thing up. And then, like I said, add some pieces in the middle. So anyway, just a quick little update. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this, start tacking it up, and we'll, you know, go to the next step. Well, guys, this is kind of where I'm at. You can see I've got my first frame just clamped in place, a couple of clamps. And I just was using an old piece of scrap 1/4 inch just to sit in there for just spacing purposes. So I can kind of see where I'm at. Then I set, you know, a tote in there. You can see kind of my electrical kit and a box just to kind of see how, you know, that tray would kind of work out. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, I've got some more stuff cut up over there so I can make a second wall for over there, and then I can start putting, you know, these braces in over here. So that's kind of where we're at. So let me just kind of continue on. All right, guys, now you can see I've got this side wall up and welded, this side wall up and welded. So again, it's 24 1/8 inches tall. And so what I need to do now is cut some pieces that are 31 3/8 to tie the top and the bottom, front and back now next. Weld those on, and then I'm going to add a couple pieces in the middle, front and back as well, kind of like what I did here to the side, so we can have something to attach. So let me go ahead and weld these pieces here in, or get them cut up and welded in or tacked into place, and we'll cover the progress in a few minutes. All right, guys, here is the frame all tacked up. So you can see this will be the front, back, or front or back. Doesn't really matter. This is the side and obviously the other side. So I did go across. I've got it clamped down to the piece of plywood to try to keep it as you know, square as I can. Now we'll go ahead and do a little welding. So what I'm going to do is, you know, weld like this corner, that corner, you know, that corner, this corner, and then, you know, kind of crisscross and go around and finish doing the welding. And then we'll kind of weld a little bit, let it cool down, weld a little bit, cool down, to try and keep this thing as square as possible. Because right now I've got it to where it's only about 1/16 of an inch off, which is good enough for what this is for. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, kind of do up some welding at this point in time. Now, one thing, guys, you'll notice there's bubble gum and there's bubble gum. So, you know, kids have left their mark. So I'll have to peel that bubble gum out at some point. Or I might just leave it there for prosperity because it's just kind of funny. All right, guys, so just a quick update where we're at. So you can see, right, here's the lower section. Here is the top. where I'm gonna, install some hinges over here on the side. Right now, this is just all set in place. I need to, weld these corners up and on the inside as well to give this some structure. And then, I'll put a piece of plywood across the top of this thing for the cover. And then you notice here, right, I've got my sliding shelf. So that way I can put it in here. I'll have to obviously enclose this yet. I do need to do a little work to make this fit a little better. So it doesn't, as I'm driving it want to collapse, and everything fall off. But basically it does fit in here. I can slide it, as you can see, forward, access everything in this area, slide it back, and then access everything in this area. And this is the stuff, that maybe I use the most often, some shop towels, oils, brake cleaner, blah, 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 would be in this general area. And then, I would have like the extra spare starter, spare alternator, other miscellaneous or camping equipment, it could be camping equipment down there, maybe my utensils and stuff up here. Who knows? I mean, this is going to be a very multi-purpose trailer now going forward. So anyway, guys, so I thought this was a neat idea. What I need to do here is I need to kind of cut this area here. So this is now not allowing it to rest fully, this lip, fully over there. I may need to extend this lip a little bit too, so it stays on there, or somehow roll the lip a little bit so it sits on this channel a little bit, so that way it doesn't fall off. So there's a couple things I need to do to this yet, but the fact that it fits in here, it does slide. You can see what I'm talking about. If I cock it in that corner, right, it can pop out. So that's why I want to do a little work on this yet to get this to fit a little better. So now what I need to do is go ahead and, like I said, weld this top up. What I am missing is a piece of plywood to go on the top here and a piece of plywood to go on the bottom there. So I kind of need to get those couple of pieces of plywood as well yet. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on, probably with the mock-up of this a little bit more, probably get this top welded up. And that's probably where I'm going to call it a day for right now. Made a lot of great progress. So, here's the plywood I'm going to use to sheathe the outside of this. Again, that's the aluminum roll I'm going to use to cover the outside of this. I can put my, my Shop Dog Fabrication logo on the side of it, some stickers just for fun. And yeah, this is turning out to be a really cool little trailer. All right, guys, just a real quick update. So I am actually painting the bottom side of the piece of plywood that will sit on the bottom face down on the trailer. So the white side will be facing down just to give it some, moisture protection. And then there is the top over there that I am painting white because I do not have enough of the aluminum to go around, the four sides and then also do the top. So I have enough to go around the four sides, no problem. So we'll have a nice white finish on the sides where I can put stickers, and then the top will just be painted white. And then, and then I'm getting ready to attach it to the top of the frame. So I need to do that. And then real quick, you see those four black pieces here. Let me scoot up. So I'm gonna add some reinforcement pieces here to these four locations. So that way when I set the plywood on there, since I'm only using 1/4-inch plywood, these reinforcement pieces, when I set, weight on there, right, it won't bow the wood real bad. It'll help support whatever I'm setting in place. So these are just some pieces, some scrap pieces I had left over. Like I said, I'm going to weld those on, and then, we'll paint that, the trailer part red there. And then, start rewiring the lights. Once I get the lights all wired up, Then we'll start putting on the sides and everything, start mounting up the walls, and do some final assembly on this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure the top here, the top piece of plywood to the top piece. This piece here is just loose. Eventually I'll attach it with a couple of hinges to the lower frame here. What I'm going to use is some aluminum pop rivets. I thought about using a construction adhesive or something like that, but that's not thick enough, right, to where I can drill up really in through the bottom and really attach it very secure. So I'm going to go ahead and pop rivet this thing from the top down, and we'll just go around the entire frame and probably across the middle as well to keep it secure. So what I'm going to do is probably start in the middle, go across, and then work my way, outside and over and stuff. So anyway, let me go ahead and see if how this works. So hang tight and I'll show you the finished product in a few minutes. All right, guys, so now I can start skinning the lower portion. So I've just set a piece of plywood up there. I just kind of primed the edges a little bit because they're going to be exposed. At least the top and the bottom edges, these will be covered up here. I need to get a little silicone, and I just want to seal up, the top and the bottom a little bit. Just put a little bead across there. And now I'm going to cut a strip of that I'm going to basically fasten on with these nice long pop rivets. So let me go ahead and cut a piece of that next. Again, that's that stuff you can buy. It's like $109 for a 50-foot roll. It's 24 inches wide, and it's super easy to cut with those, and I'll show you that in a second. But anyway, let me go ahead and cut a piece of that, and we'll bring it over here and do that, because these are my pieces here that I have already cut up and pre-drilled as well, because what's going to happen is these are going to go over these corners like this. So when I put the next piece on down the side here, right, then I will have this kind of cover both of them, and then I'll pop rivet these in place. So again, I've already kind of pre-drilled and cut these, and we'll put them on. Again, these are leftover pieces from this material. All I did was basically cut this edge off right here, so it's a nice flat, corner piece. Like I said, pre-drilled it, so I can pop rivet this and hold these in place. So these corners real nice and tight. So I've got my line here drawn, 33¼ inches. That's how long I need to make this first panel. And I've got these nice big cutters here. Actually, I only paid a couple of bucks for these at a flea market. These things are nice Weiss ones. Yeah, I mean, they'll cut through this material like butter, as you'll see. So pick it up. Just cut along the line. And now we've got our first panel to attach. All right, guys, so there is at least the bottom portion, all riveted in place, all the plywood in, the aluminum over the top, my steel corners there. There's about 120 or so rivets in this thing, where I went every 4 inches and popped all them suckers on there. So next step, you can see also the lid is all done as well. I'm not going to put the aluminum over the top of the lid. I'm just going to leave it the plywood there. And so next thing we need to do is come over here, and I need to rewire the trailer. That'll be a separate video, basically how to rewire a trailer. Once I get the trailer all rewired, you know, because it doesn't matter if it's a boat trailer, you know, utility trailer, harbor freight trailer, right? It's all the same, you know, basics for doing that. But anyway, and then once the trailer is wired up, then I can mount that onto the trailer, and then we can get a piano hinge, and I'll mount the lid, get a piano hinge and mount the lid to that. And then what I'll need to do is get a couple latches on one side or the other, you know, so I can lock the trailer up. I've got some weather strip that I'll put on the lid, you know, so it'll seal up the lid to the base, and then it'll be all done. So let me go ahead and get the trailer wired up, and then we can go to the next step. All right, guys, so what I've done is I set the, you know, the 1/4-inch plywood on the bottom first onto the trailer, and then I set the frame and everything on top of the plywood. You can see, well, it's bare, you know, on the inside, right? Who cares? I did paint, you know, the edges, and I did paint the bottom side of the board, you know, so it is an exterior paint. So now what I'm doing is I am taking and using some self-tappers and running around the perimeter of the frame, and I will self-tap. But before I did that, I did take a caulk gun and I put caulk on top. You can kind of see I traced it here with a marker. So I kind of traced it first, marked where my holes were. So then I went ahead and put silicone all the way around the frame here on the bottom of it, on the plywood first, and then I set this frame assembly right on top, so that way it's sealed up, you know, to the elements, right? So if water splashes up, you know, hopefully it won't get in between the wood and the inside, the frame here, and get inside. So now let me go ahead and finish securing all this, and we'll go to the next step, which will be figuring out how I'm going to attach the top. All right, guys, so now we've got the trailer all solidly mounted. I did kind of a crappy job of putting some caulk, you know, to seal up the wood skin to the frame and stuff, and also to the corners and whatnot. That way, hopefully there isn't any weather, right, that this will also keep this sealed up, and from any leaks getting inside the trailer, you know, in the parts, equipment, whatever I'm going to be hauling. But now we need to mount the lid, and so what I'm going to use, I'm just going to use some hinges. Basically, you can see there, I've just marked my holes on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and drill these out and pop rivet these in place, and then I'll have to do the same thing for the lid, is figure out how to mark these on the lid side and put them in place so I can secure them, and then I can go ahead and figure out how I'm going to seal this up, and then add the, on that side, a couple of latches so I can put locks, and the trailer will be pretty much wrapped up. So let me go ahead and do this, and we'll come back and you can see the status. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have a lid attached. So there she is. She opens and closes. You can see my fancy little prop rod. This is just some scrap 1/8-inch rod, I think it is. You know, I've just got it stuck up in a hole there, stuck in a little hole down there, and you can see it just kind of goes into the rail, and there's a prop rod. You know, so what I did is I made a little template. I can't find it right now, but basically mimicked the hinge out of a piece of cardboard. Then came over to the lid, kind of marked it out based on where I had all my measurements from the bottom. And you can see, you know, she went in there pretty darn good. So pop riveted that all in, and she opens and closes real nice. So the two things I have left to do is I need to install some weathering stripping. I have a bunch of this. I need to actually go get some down from the basement, and I'm going to put the weather strip around the lid part. And the reason I want to do the lid right is not this, is I'm going to be leaning over this, getting stuff in and out. You know, I'll probably damage the weather strip. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the lid instead. So that way, you know, when I put it on the bottom portion, right, she'll compress and seal up. I do have these in place here. I'm probably going to have to put a little piece of foam on the corners there, because, you know, when this compresses, there's a small gap. I did notice. So I've got some of that small foam there. I'll probably put a small little piece like right there in the corner, and that way it'll kind of just skim over it and then lay flat on this. And then the last thing I'll have to do is install a couple latches. So that way I can put a lock here and a lock back there, you know, and lock the top down. So let me go ahead and do these couple things, and I'll give you a quick update in just a couple minutes. So that's kind of where we stand, and it's turning out pretty darn nice. All right, so you can see here, maybe you can't, but here's the weather strip that I've got now installed. You know, going all across everywhere. So I went ahead and butted it up. And then you can see I kind of notched the weather strip here a little bit. So when it comes down, you know, it kind of squishes into it, and it, whoops, as I have it notched a little bit here, then as it, you know, comes down and closes right, it collapses up against there and seals up real nice to it. So what I've also done is, you can see here is the style latches that I installed. So I've got a couple of those installed, and then you can see down here again, one on either side, so I can put locks in and keep this secure. The other thing I did is I put some tension on these, you know, so when this closes, you know, it would actually pull the seal down tight up against the frame here, so she won't leak up. Hopefully won't allow any water to get inside, or, you know, so that's kind of what I've done there. So that pretty much wraps this this whole thing up. The one thing I would definitely do different if I could is mount maybe the, you know, the plywood on the inside, but with this type of frame, I really couldn't. I suppose I could have. I probably could have, you know, cut this U-channel out of all of these, and then I probably could have mounted it on the inside, I suppose, and then just put the, you know, the aluminum on the outside only and had the wood on the inside. That might have been the one thing I would have done different with this design. I'm pretty happy with the way the hinges work. The hinges, you know, open and close real nice and smooth. You know, the prop rod, I'll do something a little better here for a prop rod. This is actually a little heavier than what I showed a little earlier. The one thing I need to do is drill a little bigger hole right here. So I can actually put this prop rod into the lid. Right now it's just stuck up against the wood, but I will do that. And then it still, though, goes in here real nice. So this, you know, basically will work really well to open and close and to be able to access, you know, everything inside. So overall, guys, you know, my hands are a whole lot stronger, right? From putting in a couple, about 100 and, I don't know, 20, 30 pop rivets, that's for sure. But overall, you know, I don't have a whole lot of money invested in this. Most of this, you know, really was just I had to buy some plywood, and I found damaged plywood actually for sale at our local hardware place, you know, Lowe's, Menards, you know, Home Depot, those types of places. That I actually got mine at Menards. You know, I got all the steel here, scrap, right? The school was going to throw it out. I bought the latches, I bought all the pop rivets, I bought the light kit, you know, put a light kit on, new LEDs, caulked all this up. I had some caulk lying around, so I was able to caulk this and seal this up a little better. I had to buy some self-tappers to, you know, attach the base to the frame of the trailer. But other than that, guys, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's going to be a nice little, you know, trailer. So I almost forgot, guys. So here's my shelf that I made, you know, so I can get quick access to things as well. Now I still need to close this front portion off. You know, I don't think you guys really need to see that. I'm just going to take a piece of scrap steel, you know, and I'll just weld it on, you know, across the front here, you know, so that way I, you know, have, you know, these are two little enclosed boxes that I can put, you know, either tools up here or shop rags or whatever I need to get to that's quick and easy to get to. So basically, you know, I welded on some U-channel, or popper riveted some U-channel on, and actually put a piece on in the back here as well, so you can see it'll clip over this U-channel. There's a U-channel here. I can bring it back and set it down, and it'll kind of lock in place. Now granted, it could bounce out, but for the most part, if you notice here, see how it kind of stays in place. So that way, you know, if I have to, I can lift this up, I can slide it forward and get it out of my way and access everything here, or I can slide it back, lift it up again, you know, and access stuff up here. So I'll probably, maybe I'll flip this around and move it to the front, so, you know, from a tongue weight standpoint, so it's not wanting to tilt the trailer back like that, right? It's more up here in the front area. So anyway, I forgot to mention that, so there's how that little tray worked out. So it works out pretty slick. So, you know, again, I don't have a whole lot invested in this. Really, I think I've got like $60 invested into enclosing my trailer, from what you saw before, right? Having this thing just sitting up on a metal frame, you know, to going to a much lower trailer in much more space to be able to put things inside. You know, so again, I bought the frame a couple years ago off Facebook Marketplace. I want to say I paid like 125 bucks for it. And then obviously I only have like $50-$60 now into this modification. I'm sorry, to make the box and stuff. I also have the lights. So if you, somewhere in the $80 to $100 range, you know, I have all new lights and this enclosure now. So guys, you know, with a little time, little labor, little fabrication, right? Learning to do stuff, you know, you're always learning, always doing, always, you know, if you stop trying, you're never learning, right? Keep trying, keep plugging away, keep improving your skills. You know, I could have done this better, yes. But you know what? I'm really happy, really, for the most part, with the outcome. So guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great day in your shop. Please, as they always say, like, subscribe, hit the little bell for future content. Thanks for watching. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all on the next upload.